So this video looks at the piping database. So you can see here in the mechanical menu structure we have the databases section in the middle, selecting piping. The piping database consists of a whole series of separate elements that are built up to form what we call the selection rule. We provide a whole list of what we consider standard selection rules, which you can edit. So for example, if we pick a typical selection rule, let's say some plastic pipe, edit, this is where you would input your selection criteria name so that you can view it in the piping program. The pipe medium, this is where you select the pipe medium from the listing. You have the various parameter in terms of overriding rule. So in this case, an overriding rule of 250 pascals per meter is applied. You could invoke a maximum system velocity as well if you wanted to. And whichever one you want to select will be the overriding factor used in the calculation. You can also apply further detailed rules. So in this case, up to 90 millimeters, you've got a maximum pressure drop per meter of 250 pascals per meter. Over 100 millimeters, you've got a maximum velocity of 1.5. So this is effectively allowing you to set up the various parameters. If we look further at the details that build up the piping database, you go into the pipe pull down. This gives you an example of a typical pipe. Editing the pipe takes you into the dialog box where you have the size, the absolute roughness, the emissivity for the heat losses and emissions, and the associated fittings that you've applied. Also the ranges of sizes with the mean bore and the nominal bore. Prices can be added as well. Pipe fittings. You can select a typical pipe fitting. You can add these to the list using the add button, selecting the pipe fitting, selecting the edit button, and that gives you the various K factors depending on the bending radii based on the pipe sizes. Insulation can also be applied from the edit insulation. Again, selecting or adding the insulation type that you want, editing that and giving the conductivity, surface emissivity and the thickness of the insulation type. And finally, the pipe medium, the fluid flowing through the pipe, displaying varying characteristics. So for example, if we selected a hot water type arrangement with a flow of 60 and a return of 50, we go to the edit menu. You can see here we've got the medium that's used in, so that isolates the program that it's to be used in. You then have your various physical properties in terms of density, specific heat, dynamic viscosity, and the flow and return temperatures. And it's all of these single elements you get to put together to create your selection rule. If you want to create your own selection rule and create your own and cherry pick the data from various bits and pieces from the database, all you need to do is go to Edit, Selection Rules. Pick the pipe type that you want to copy or emulate. You could start from scratch. So if I take a typical pipe, let's say a typical heating pipe, let's say I want to go to LT heating 5545 and I wanted to apply a 60/50. I can select the copy button. This takes the copied option to the top of the list where I can then edit. I can get rid of the tilde option. I can call that 60/50. I can then select the appropriate 60/50 from the listing. And then I can apply all my other caveats. So I might want to use the basic selection rule using copper table X, changing the pipe type from the listing, changing the insulating type from the listing. I then OK that, close. Then when I go to edit selection rules, you will see those listings in the list. So there's the 55/45, and there's the 60/50 that I created just now. And of course, on exiting, you would file save, That means then in any of the programs, piping programs, you can use that new selection rule.